So today I'm here with, what is your name?
Brian Keeler.
Brian Keeler.
Yeah.
And you are an artist. This is all your work. Congratulations, by the way. It's all very, very beautiful. I guess the first question is, how long have you been doing art for?
I've been doing it for many years. I graduated from art school in '75, and I was there for 4 years. So I've been doing it since the early '70s.
And did you always want to make this a career? Was this always the dream?
It was, yeah. There wasn't really anything else that I really wanted to do or felt motivated or attracted to. My father was an artist, so I grew up with it, and just kept doing it.
Do you think that your father being an artist and I guess being exposed to that as a kid, I mean, would you say that even as a kid you knew you wanted to do something with art?
I did, yeah. It was kind of how I sort of made myself special from my classmates. It was something that I could do well early on, and I started drawing, and when I was a kid, and had some good art teachers in high school, and just kept doing it.
Were there ever any doubts or any moments where you thought it might not work out?
Not really. I've just always been motivated to do it, and it's been my livelihood too. It's not been an avocation. I had a few other jobs, but mostly I've just done painting, and portraiture was my sort of my bread and butter through a good part of my early career.
Yeah. And I think I mentioned this last time we spoke, but you know how with artists, a lot of people want to do art, or whether it's anything creative, music, something like that, but very few are able to make it a career. I guess, why do you think that you were able to do that?
I guess it's a combination of good luck and perseverance and just stick-to-itiveness and being inspired. I have ideas and things that I'm motivated to do. So,
if you had to give some advice to maybe someone's an artist or they want to do something similar, but they haven't made it yet, I guess, what do they have to do in order to be able to do this as they're living?
Yeah, I guess just study a lot and look at old masters' paintings and just find something that you're passionate about, and just keep going with it and stick with it.
Do you have a favorite artist, a favorite painter?
There's a lot of painters that I like. I've been focusing on the Italian Renaissance for decades now, because I've been teaching there and painting there. So the artists of the Renaissance, the main ones like Raphael and Leonardo, but other ones, it's called the Baroque School of Caravaggio. He was one of the main exponents of it. In fact, we were just at the NGA in DC, that's the National Gallery of Art, where I was copying a master. It's a favorite pastime of mine to go and sketch from master paintings.
Cool. And you also, you have the sign outside. You have a concert on Friday. So
yeah.
You also do music as well. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I have a band. It's called Zingology, and we do gypsy swing, and we're playing here this Friday. We've been together, I think, about 10 years, and we just recorded a CD this winter, and we have it's 12 tracks of gypsy swing. In case you don't know what gypsy swing is, it's the type of swing made popular by Django Reinhardt in the 30s in Paris. So it's a Parisian interpretation of American jazz, and I play guitar in the combo.
How long have you been playing guitar for?
I've been playing most of my life since I was about 16. I guess is when I got my first guitar. But say in the past 20 years, I've sort of accelerated. I have a mentor, a great teacher from Israel, and I do Zoom lessons with him and a group of other guys. And so I'm very fortunate to have this a great teacher who's, what he does is he teaches us how to practice and how to approach the guitar, so we can have a method and approach to learning it.
Would you say that you enjoy the process of creating music or paintings more?
Yeah, that's a good question. I like them both, and I was just told by somebody that I know, another teacher, a philosophy teacher, who said artists should have a couple of different venues, and I can see the correlations and similarities between the two, and how they kind of bolster each other and support each other. And I write too. I have essays that I write, so I like to see the correlation between arts.
So you're a bit of a Renaissance man. Then.
Somewhat, and I dance too. I've been teaching dance for a while.
Wow.
So there's similarities between dance and painting. And one quick one is when I teach figure painting, you always have to figure out what is the weight-bearing leg when you're drawing a model. And it's similar in dance. You always have to know where your weight is, whether it's double weighted or left and right. So, but there's a lot of other corollaries too. That's just one that comes to mind.
So you paint, you do music, you write as well in dance. Do you do acting as well?
I don't do acting. I'm not versed in that, and I don't sing. I just play the guitar. So that's they're my focuses.
I guess in that case, so a lot of people with what they do day to day, oftentimes they're not having to do anything very creative. It's very repetitive, or they have a set task. With you, whether it's music, painting, whatever, in a sense, you're kind of guiding yourself, right? Like it's up to you to create something and produce something. How do you manage, I guess, just working on a project? Do you set goals? Is it, okay, this time I'm going to do this, or do you just kind of work when you have, I guess, inspiration?
Well, I try to work as much as I can. I say try, but I'm motivated, and I paint outside a lot. It's called plein air painting, and so whenever the light's beautiful, here in Ithaca, we have a lot of cloudy days, so whenever the sun's out, I get my truck and head out and paint. So, but your question was about how to organize it, or how to...
Yeah, about, the work process, when you're working on a project, do you maybe schedule times, like, okay, this is when I'm going to work, very organized, methodical, or is it more so when the moment strikes, when you're inspired, when you want to do it?
I'd say it was closer to the latter. I don't have like regular hours, like I don't have to plug in at my easel at 9 a.m. every day because I have other things that I have to do. But it's not like I have to force myself to do it so much either, because I have projects that I want to get to.
Right. I mean, do you ever have moments where you feel like, I don't really want to do this, like I don't want to say tired of it, but if you're in a sense, if you're doing the same thing for years and years, I would imagine there are some moments where you're like, I want to take a break or do something else for a change.
Yeah, another woman just asked me a similar question. She was from Ithaca College, and their assignment was to go out and meet artists. And she asked me if I ever get bored, and I hadn't really thought of it that way. But I guess you get into a project, and there's points where it's kind of sluggish or going slow, and I think the answer is just to take a break, get a fresh look at it, do something else to invigorate your process.
Yeah. And then obviously everyone always says art is subjective, right? Do you agree with that? Do you ever think that there are pieces or works that are just so beautiful that you would say, okay, this is objectively good to behold?
Yeah, but I guess there's a lot of wiggle room in there for interpretation. Like I was saying, we were just at the National Gallery of Art, and it's just a treasure trove of masterpieces. But everybody has their own taste. Everybody's attracted to something different, but they all fit some standard of perfection or artistic virtuosity.
What do you think of, when I look around here, I see all these paintings, I would say that these are all traditionally beautiful. Like it takes, skill with a paintbrush to make it, realistic, and also all the colors and everything. When you look at, maybe more modern pieces of art where, sometimes people will see it and they almost start to make fun of it because it's like, oh, this doesn't seem as if it took a lot of time, or I guess craftsmanship is the word, to create it.
Right.
How do you feel about, do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
like those pieces
yeah, that's a good question, because well, at the Johnson Museum they have quite a varied collection there, and all of the paintings are not realistic or in our traditional sense of beauty. They have other motivations. It could be social commentary or political commentary or something else, so it's sort of separate from creating aesthetically pleasing pictures. They have other motivations about it. So I guess your question was about subjectivities, but I think it's kind of open for each person to arrive at their own preferences. But my paintings are more or less traditional realism, so I'm involved in creating works that are aesthetically pleasing to me. And there's a sort of a ancillary issue there of of whether the artwork holds up on its own, whether it's beautiful in its own merits. And there's a special word the painters like to use, the paint quality, which means whether the paint is beautiful on its own merits, regardless of what it's describing.
Okay.
And so that's an interesting concept that painters think about.
Yeah. And I guess the one last question is, what would you say is your favorite piece that you've created, either here or just ever?
Yeah, I get that asked. It's kind of hard for me to choose. I guess the sort of the quick glib answer would be the next one.
Yeah.
But I guess I couldn't answer because when I look around, there's things I like about this one, and sometimes I want to rework something, or but I guess there are times when things there's some that may kind of stand out over the years.
I guess what about, I'll ask you a different question then. Which one took the longest to make?
Yeah, that doesn't necessarily mean it's the best one. I have had ones that I did one a long time ago. It was a painting of my hometown. I hired an airplane and flew over this small town in Pennsylvania. So it had, like dozens of buildings, Victorian era that I knew. But it took me, I think, 80 hours. I somehow kind of kept track of it, which in the grand scheme of things is probably not that long. I know painters, Daniel Green, he was a famous realistic painter, and he said he did 460 hours on certain paintings. So, so I guess the answer is the amount of time doesn't necessarily mean that they're necessarily better, but it could be. And it's some of these plein air paintings that I do them in a few hours, and then there's other ones that take weeks to do. So
I guess a follow-up then is, do you feel like you've been able to create a painting, or I guess work faster, now as opposed to when you were first starting?
Yeah, I think so, because I've been doing it so long, especially with a plein air painting. You're working with what I call the golden hour. It's that the last bit of light. So you're kind of racing with the light and racing with time, and you have to kind of, in a kind of Zen-like way, you have to kind of get to the essence of it quickly. So, doing these over years, you kind of get a method or approach that can kind of capture the essence of a landscape or a portrait fairly quickly.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then I guess, do you have a website or anything that you would like to promote? If anyone
Sure,
sees this?
yeah, I have my own website. It's briankeeler.com. And we just have a new one for this gallery, which is northstarfineart.com. And then for our gallery on Snyder Hill, we have another one. It's northstarartgallery.com. And my band is zingology.net. So there's the websites, and feel free to visit them. And I'm also very active on Facebook. I'm always posting my newest paintings, and on our website I have my blog essays. I have maybe a couple hundred essays on art, the environment, politics, and travel that I write about.
All right, well, check those out, and thank you for doing the interview, and it was nice speaking with you.
Oh, thank you. It was a great interview. Great questions.
Thank you. Thank you.